Hey, today we're talking all about the 5 phrases that you want to ditch in your sales conversations if you want to get better conversions and results. Now, I want you to stop saying these 5 phrases because too often we say them without really thinking about what we're saying, and they don't demonstrate your authority. In fact, it creates doubt. It casts doubt in the minds of your prospects and your potential customers, which is immediately going to turn them off. So let's dive into these 5 phrases that I want you to stop saying. Number 1, trust me. Now, you may think that by reassuring people and saying trust me, but just like reverse psychology, this phrase, it actually makes people wonder, what are you saying that you need to say trust me for? And it's actually going to make a lot more sense when we get into phrase number 2, because they're very similar. And sometimes these are just bad habits. We become so habitualized to saying them that we don't even realize that we are saying what we're saying. So I want you to pay attention, and if you're saying this, nix it, because it's having the exact opposite effect, and it's getting people to have doubt when they hear this phrase from your mouth. Number 2, can you guess? To be honest. And it's the same thing as trust me. When you say to be honest, people automatically think, well, aren't you already being honest? And so if you're not, it immediately casts doubt that perhaps what you're saying is not true. And that means you are the opposite of being honest. You are dishonest, and maybe in fact you are actually lying, which, let's face it, people are already a little bit suspicious and have their back up when they're going into some sort of a sales interaction, because nobody wants to be sold to, but everybody likes buying things. So the more that you're able to just make it like a casual conversation, a casual friend would never say to be honest, because you just assume that your friend is going to be honest with you, right? So stop saying this phrase, because it is, again, casting doubt. It is casting suspicion in the eyes of your potential customers. Number 3, I think we can do that. Now, in the event that you're not sure, just say, I don't know. Oftentimes when we say, I think we can, it may be because we want to appear to be like accommodating, right? That we want to be able to say, well, yeah, let me see if we can find out and do this. That's a very different approach than I think we can do that. Because when you have that phrase of think in there, it again casts doubt and uncertainty. It's either can you do it or can't you do it? And it's okay if you can't do it, just be honest and tell people. But when you say, I think we can, it creates a giant question mark above your head. And then people are wondering, why? Why do they think they can? And what is it about what you've just asked that might be unusual? And it creates, again, doubt, okay? So let's not do that. Number 4, are you the decision maker? Now, I know that this is a tough one, because you're trying to figure out who the decision makers are, right? Especially when you're being trained in more of the old school techniques around BANT, budget, authority, needs, and time. Authority means that you need to speak to somebody who actually has the authority to make the decision, to make the purchase with you. And one of the easiest way to do that is to just ask outright. But I'm going to tell you that 9 times out of 10, this question itself is offensive in the way that it's worded. And there are different ways that you can approach this without asking outright, are you the decision maker? One way that you could actually do this without causing offense, one way that actually allows people to be invited into the conversation, is simply by asking, is there anybody else that should be invited into this meeting? Is there somebody else that might be influencing or is impactful to what we need to discuss today? That will allow you to decide what is it that this other person might have to add to the conversation, and more importantly, what is their position relative to the decision that needs to be made, right? So it's an indirect way of still asking the same thing without putting people on guard, especially because sometimes the person that you're speaking to, you may not know if that is the only decision maker. And fair enough, that's okay. But you don't know what else they may have experienced that could make this question or this phrase particularly off-putting. So I recommend that you stop saying it and that you think of other ways, just like the ones that I have shared with you, that might make it a little bit more inviting to allow other people to be in the conversation, especially if they're going to influence, impact, or ultimately be the key decision makers for what needs to move forward. Number 5, I want you to stop saying these words for the love of everything. I'm going to give you 3 types that are going to fall into this category, which is I want, I need, or I'd like to. Now, here's the truth. In a sales conversation, your ideal clients, your prospect, they don't care about you. Everything that you say is being run through the filter of what's in it for me? Why should I care? And so when you keep saying, I want this, I need this, I'd like to this, those poor people are thinking, when are we done this conversation? Because it sounds like wah, 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 wah. It's all about you. And everything needs to be directed from the perspective of your potential client. What's in it for them? So instead of using these phrases, just tell them what's the point of why you'd like to do the thing. So I'd like to book a meeting. Just say, like the meeting, we need to book a meeting in order to do this, right? So you don't even need to say, I'd like to, right? It's about this meeting will allow us to decide A, B, C, D. If you're asking for certain criteria, then just allow them to understand what it is that is the point of the information that you're trying to decide upon. What is the reason why you would be collecting certain pieces of information that you would need, right? How would this benefit them? This is what this will do for you. In order for us to move forward, you're going to provide me with this and this and this, and in doing so, this will allow us to do A, B, and C. This way, you take yourself out of the equation as much as possible. It's really not important what your needs are, what your wants are, or what your likes are. It's really about what is it that's going to move the deal closer to the finish line, and how is this important for the conversation that you're having right here and right now. So these 5 phrases that I have just described to you are the ones that you need to stop saying in your sales conversations if you want better conversions and if you want more customers being able to say yes to working with you. Thanks so much, and we will see you in the next video.